Welcome back. You're listening to Alaskan National News. My name's Henry.
This is Miles.
And we have a few special guests with us today.
Oh, Teresa.
I'm Jess.
I'm Sam.
We've got a great episode for y'all today, but before we begin, I've got a few messages. Firstly, this is our second to last episode. Next episode is going to be our live finale with special guest Xavier. Another thing is that this is our relapse episode, so we're back to smoking while recording. And the final announcement is that this is the jazz special, something that I've been looking forward to since the day one of this podcast. Please enjoy our selection of jazz downloaded from freemusicarchives.org. So Jess has chosen the topic, so if she would like to begin.
Russian curler and his playing partner wife have been stripped of their bronze medals after getting caught doping. They were both disqualified from the mixed doubles curling event, although she did not test positive. Norway, which finished fourth, is expected to be given a bronze medal. A total of 3 athletes has tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, including Japanese speed skater Kei Saoto and Slovenian hockey player Ziga something. All 3 athletes have left the games. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Okay, so it's just saying that they're taking drugs and
Pretty
they're
much,
suspended?
it's like, performance.
I mean, there's like different ways of doping. You can like want to dope.
Yeah.
But I think they're just taking drugs, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much just getting yourself stronger.
I think the life of an Olympian is so fucking wild. Do you remember when, who was that, was he a swimmer?
Michael Phelps?
Michael
he
Phelps,
was
no.
a douchebag swimmer.
Lochte.
Lochte. And they, like, got drunk and destroyed a restroom, but they, like, faked. They were, like, all, like...
And now everyone hates
Didn't they
him.
say they got mugged or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. They said they were mugged. Anyway, my point is, all Olympians are fucking alcoholics, and it must be so fucking stressful when, like, so much of your life depends on your physical, like, ability, you know?
Okay, that's
Why are they
fair.
all alcoholics?
I don't know, but my roommate told me they were, and I believe her. So she, like, knows people that works at the facility, and the people that work at the facility told her, like, oh, like, they just fucking drink all the time.
As a curler, though,
Why do you need it?
Why do you need
Oh, wait,
that?
a curler! That was something I totally missed, man. I mean, I still believe they're under a lot of pressure because, like, to go to the Olympics. I mean, the Olympics are only going to display sports that do require, like, some level of skill.
the men's curling team for this year's Olympics, one of them looks like Mario.
They're all old and, like, kind of chubby.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is who's representing us. And on that note, we'll be heading into our first song, When, by Steven Siebert. Enjoy.
back of a car.
What?
Every week.
Welcome back. You were just listening to When by Steven Siebert. Now we're going to slide into the second segment, which is Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri was born in Columbus, Ohio, the son of Penelope Ann Price and Louis James Ferry. He grew up in Ferndale in rural Humboldt County, California.
Fuck break.
During high school, he was a foreign exchange student to France, where he developed his interest in food and cooking. His paternal grandfather was of Italian descent. Fieri changed his surname, Ferry, back to his family's original surname, Fieri, when he got married in 1995, in order to honor his immigrant great-grandfather, Giuseppe Fieri. Fieri began his association with food in grade school in Ferndale by selling pretzels from his awesome pretzel cart and washing dishes to finance his trip to France to study. On his return to the United States, he worked at the restaurant at the Red Lion Inn in Eureka, California, until going to Las Vegas for college. Fieri attended the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Hotel Management in 1990.
God.
Soon after graduation, he went to work for Stouffer's as a manager of a Long Beach, California restaurant. After 3 years in Southern California, he became district manager of Louise's Trattoria, managing 6 locations along with recruiting and training for the restaurant's television, diners, drive-ins, and dives. This is the last segment. His second series premiered in April 2007. A 1-hour special aired in November 2006 with Fieri traveling the country visiting local eateries. The New York Times called the series not a cooking show as much as a carefully engineered reality show. Ultimate Recipe Showdown, co-hosted with Mark Summers, debuted on February 17, 2008 and aired for 3 seasons. So what are your thoughts?
About Guy Fieri?
Yeah.
I want to know the origin of was he born with his sunglasses in the back of his head?
Yes.
And the frosted tips. I want to know when the frosted tips.
I wanted
Bro,
like that.
Guy Fieri opened a restaurant in Louisville, where I'm from.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's so dank.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it good?
So I have mad respect for Guy Fieri, but
He built an empire.
he did build a food empire.
You know, I love him. Everything he stands for.
Why do you love him?
You know, he just comforts me.
Yeah,
Life.
he has kids or a kid.
His children, did they have sunglasses? in the
Yeah,
back of
he
their
spit on
heads?
the TV show.
Is
When I
that
went
good?
to when I went to Europe, I was all overwhelmed and stressed out in Italy. And then I went to this pizza place, and I was like, "Where the fuck am I?" And then I looked up on the wall, and there was a picture of Guy Fieri, and I was like,
I'm
"It's all
home.
good.
Life is
I feel
good.
at home."
Yeah.
That's really cute. If you birth a human, dude, don't name them Guy.
I know, like,
What's wrong with you?
This is my baby boy guy.
my baby boy guy.
That's such a weird name.
Okay, now we'll be going into our second song, As Time Goes by Houston Person. Enjoy. Welcome back. You were just listening to As Time Goes by Houston Preston. Before we get into our two stories for that last segment of the episode, Kaylin has her Filipino word of the day. Would you please?
Tatlo.
Thank you. So Kaylin will have a Reddit story for us today. For this evening, we have two great tales from the subreddit r/nosleep. This first one is, my son has been missing since Christmas, and I just found something disturbing in his room.
I believe it goes without saying that every parent's worst nightmare is losing their children. 1 month and 2 days ago, that nightmare became a reality for me as soon as I took a single bite of Santa's cookies and went upstairs to wake my two boys. The youngest, Clyde, had already been awake and sitting patiently on his bed, eagerly awaiting my signal to head downstairs and start opening gifts. This was not too surprising. What 12 and 7-year-old boys sleep in on Christmas morning? What was surprising was that Jack's bed was empty. He was nowhere to be found, despite my tucking him in his bed and wishing him a good night around 9 p.m. the previous night. The detectives are supposedly still investigating, but I'm fully aware of the horrifying statistics that after the first 48 hours of being missing, the chances of finding my son become very slim. I'm also quite sure that they still consider me a suspect, although their initial investigation failed to prove that. Earlier today, while helping Clyde with his math homework, I threw one of his little Nerf footballs across the room, and after a couple bounces, it became lodged in between the wall and Jack's bed. I walked over and pulled the bed away from the wall a bit to retrieve it, and that's when I noticed the loosened floorboard. I don't understand how this was missing by both myself and the detectives that scorned his room. It was quite obvious once I did notice it. I believe what I found in there may have something to do with Jack's disappearance. Being a single father of two, still working a full-time job, left me with very little time, especially around the holidays, to carry on many different Christmas traditions that I had when I was a child. So on the first day of December, when I first saw the little raggedy-looking elf on the shelf, I was impressed that Jack had took it upon himself to start this tradition for his little brother. When I had asked him about it, his demeanor changed drastically and demanded that no one ever touch the elf. I left it at that. After all, the story says that the elf will lose its magic if touched by humans. I didn't want to ruin it for Clyde, so I played along. Each morning, the little elf would show up in the new spot in our small house. I was so proud of my boys for being such a great... The reason I bring up the elf is because what I found under the floorboard in his room was kind of homemade children's book titled Elf on the Shelf. It was written crudely with different colored markers for each letter, although clearly written by someone with a very shaky hand. I handed the book over to the detectives, but not before writing down a copy for myself. I really don't know what to make of this, but it's something to do with who took my son. Elf on the Shelf. Have you ever wondered how anyone could know if you're naughty or nice each year as you grow? For hundreds of years, it's been a big secret, and now can be shared if you promise to keep it. This year, you were chosen. He sent me to you. I watch and report all the things that you do. My job is an assignment from the big man himself. I'm just his helper, a little scout elf. While I'm visiting the place you call home, remain in your room. Be sure not to roam. Once you are ready, the mission can start. Whose name will you scream as as he rips out your heart. Will it be father or Clyde? He can't take you all, so you must die. Each night while you're sleeping, to your room he will fly. No one could know, or else they will die. Of course, a little magic helps me be quick. I record your day and report with a click. I tell him if you have been good or been bad. The news of the day makes him happy or sad. One word of this and I'll report to the boss, but keeping the secret will not be a loss. In the car, at the park, or even at school, words will get out if you break the rule. He's gonna be gone before you awake. Speak a word to anyone, and your brother I'll take. You jump out of bed and come running to see who'll be the first to beg and to plead. Maybe in the kitchen, or the bathroom, or the den is where you'll find your dear Clyde met his end. I can hide on a plant, a shelf, or a frame. Where will I be? Let's make it a game. There's another important rule you must know. Choose to ignore it, and his rage will grow. Keep your windows unlocked before you climb into bed. Think wonderful thoughts inside that little head. How else can he check how good you've been? He might start to think you've forgotten about him. The night before Christmas, my job's at an end. The rest of the year in paradise we'll spend. So blow them a kiss and bid them farewell. We'll fly away, but you can never tell. Of course they will miss you, but wait till next year. When the holiday comes, all again reappear. I wish every girl and each boy a safe place to hide until next year I visit young Clyde.
Okay, so our second story is The Chair Game by Sup Bunny 24. I went to a boarding school located in the isolated countryside of Surrey. I'd been going there since I was 7 years old, which would make a total of 11 years come September. It was a very exclusive school. I remember being told once when I first started, that's why there weren't many students, only about 120. The school only accepted the best of the best, the most special students. We get new students every once in a while, but as the number of us graduated each year, the school never really grew in numbers. The school itself was quite large, with only 40 classrooms, 20 playrooms, and a conjoined boarding house. Each class had a maximum of 5 people, but most had only about 2 or 3.
Wow.
My class only had about 4 people. Our teacher said it was because we were extra special, and we all share a room in the boarding house, so we were really close. The other 3 were all girls too. Gretchen, Louise, and Harriet. Harriet didn't really like Gretchen, but they were both friends with Louise. They spent a lot of time together. I didn't like Louise very much, and she wasn't too fond of me either. But like Harriet and Gretchen, we spent so much time together that we sometimes got along, though she could be very mean sometimes. The 4 of us were the only students in the whole school who had roommates, so we spent almost all of our time together. We ate lunch together every day because we didn't know anyone from the other classes. They never talked to us. I didn't know why, but headmaster had told us it was because they weren't as special as us. Our class was called Multi-A, and we got to play games every day. All of the games had rules, and even if one of broke the rules, that's just how it's written, or gave a wrong answer, we'd have to play the chair game. We always start with the picture game. Our teacher would show us a different picture every day and would ask us questions about it. Louise didn't like the game very much. She would always give the wrong answer to make our teacher angry, and that meant we would have to play the chair game. The chair game was my least favorite game, but I knew that our teacher made us play it because she wanted us to learn. The chair game was the only game that we had played in the rooms. We would sit on the cold metal chair, and our teacher would strap our hands and legs to it, make sure we didn't hurt ourselves. Then she helped us put on the helmet that made my head hurt a lot. Once we were all settled on the chair, our teacher would show us the same picture we saw in the classroom and would ask us the same questions again. If we give the wrong answer, she would click a button and the chair would make our heads hurt to make sure that we know that the answer is wrong. Louise always gives the wrong answer, and we try to stop her, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes though, Harriet or Gretchen will manage to say the correct answer first. Then we get to go back to our classroom. But lately, Louise has been getting better at saying the answer first, which means we have to be taught that we're wrong more often, which I don't like. Our teacher tells me not to worry though, because in September she says we'll all get to play a different game, and we'll never have to play the chair game again. For our final song of the evening, we have Ain't Misbehavin' by Quartet Barbette. Enjoy.
That was it?
Welcome back. You were just listening to Ain't Misbehavin' by Quartet Barbette. I would like to thank our guests for their participation.
Thanks, guests.
Don't forget to turn into our live finale next time. Thank you and have a good night.